I'm Darren, the Magic Ghostbuster. If you enjoyed the video, please bust that like and subscribe button. So on Ghostbusters Day this year, Hasbro teased us with the next Ghostbusters HasLab. If you look at the image, it says come along for the ride underneath the Ghostbusters logo, looking like the tyre from an Ecto 1. So that is pretty much teasing an Ecto 1, I would have thought, but we'll get into that very shortly. Just before we get into that, I just want to talk about a couple of little things. So first up, before the announcement on Ghostbusters Day, they said an announcement was coming a few days before, and then the announcement turned out to be an announcement for a future announcement. And this is a trend that Hasbro do a lot, and it needs to stop. It's really annoying. Don't say an announcement's coming and then announce another announcement. Just say an announcement's coming and then announce the product. It's really annoying. That needs to stop. Other companies do it, but Hasbro are really guilty of it. Now, for those who don't know what a HasLab model is, I'm sure most of you do, but let me just explain very quick. This is the HasLab Proton Pack. This was their first Ghostbusters HasLab. Their very first HasLab was a Star Wars sail barge. And basically Hasbro said, I can't remember the exact numbers on this now, I think it was 7,000, but I could be wrong, but they say, we've got this, it's £359.99, we need 7,000 people to commit to buying it for us to make it. If we don't get that 7,000, we don't make it. If we get the 7,000, we do make it. And then they have incentives to keep it going. So they'll say, like, when we get to 9,000, we'll add in the hose. 12,000, I think it was Egon's book with stickers. 15,000, I think, was the burnt mini puff figures. And then I think it was 18,000, and we give you the stand. Again, I might be off with those numbers, but it was something along those lines. And that is basically how the HasLab model works. Now, I have two very contrasting viewpoints on HasLab. One, not liking it, and one, absolutely loving it. And I'll tell you why on both of those. So the first one is crowdfunding is really supposed to be for small companies. Obviously, to make a product, whether it's a big thing like this or even a small thing, you know, like this, the startup costs are very high. And smaller companies or even individual makers maybe can't afford those startup costs. So that's why they crowdfund. People buy these things and then they get that big injection of cash that they can then move forward and produce these products and then send them out to the people that bought them. Hasbro is not a small company. I checked, and according to the thing I read, they're worth $8.1 billion. Now, that number might be not completely accurate, but I'm sure it isn't far off. So I don't think a company worth $8 billion should really be needing to crowdfund products. I mean, they could have easily made all these proton packs, shipped them off to retailers, you know, putting the risk themselves. Especially when it comes to licenses like Ghostbusters and Star Wars. Like, I'd kind of get it more if they had, you know, had like an old license that they weren't sure if there's a market for it nowadays, like Manta Force, for example. Although I don't think that was a Hasbro product, but Manta Force, I don't know if anyone remembers Manta Force. I used to love those little figures when I was younger. But if they decided to relaunch Manta Force, and but they weren't sure, I would actually understand a crowdfund more on something like that than Ghostbusters or Star Wars. You know, stuff that's pretty much guaranteed to sell. You know, I guess there's no 100% guarantee, but I mean, I'm sure these would have sold at retail, as I'm sure most of the Star Wars products would have done. But now, I did say there's something I really love about HasLab as well, and that is that it gives everyone the same chance to actually get one. Because if Hasbro had said, we're making 10,000 proton packs, and they're available from retailers now, go and get them, you can almost guarantee they would have sold it in hours, and people would have bought 10 to sell on eBay for double or triple the price. Now, you're probably thinking, but that is what happened. People did buy them to sell them on eBay for double, triple the price. Now, don't get ahead of me, because there's a big difference here. If I had ordered 100 proton packs, and I'm thinking, keep one for myself, I'm going to sell the other 99, would have made no difference in the slightest to you being able to order one from Hasbro. Would have made no difference at all. If I had ordered 10,000, 20,000, not that I could afford to do that, but it would have made no difference, because everyone gets the same chance in that time window to order one, which I can't remember how long they run the campaign for now. Is it like 6 weeks or 8 weeks? Something like that. I can't remember exactly. And that is what I really like about it. And I think it's important that everyone gets the same chance to get one at retail. Now, obviously, people do buy extras to sell, but that So I don't consider that scalping with something like this, because to me scalping is someone who strips the shelves bare, and then you've got no choice. You either pay a scalper 2 or 3 times the amount, or you don't have one. Whereas, like I said, with the HasLab model, you get your chance. Now, obviously, once a campaign ends, you can't buy one at retail. But that applies to any collectible once it sells out. And most collectibles, you don't have that time window to buy it, you know. So that's just life if you can't buy one during the campaign. I mean, it can be annoying. Obviously, some people don't have the money to do it at the time. Unfortunately, with the Ghostbusters ones particularly, they've always done them at the worst time of year. This and the 2 in the box rung at sort of Christmas time, and the new one is coming fall 2024, so that sounds like it's going to run at Christmas time as well. And I think as well, which probably makes it even more annoying, people like to collect different multiple franchises, is they run other campaigns for Star Wars and things at the same time. So, you know, if you're collecting a couple of things, that's even more money. But that's just the way it goes, really. Like I said, you'd still have the same chance everyone else has. And one of the other things I think about with this, obviously, is people come into the fandom after, like, obviously this come out around the time of Afterlife. And then, obviously, people may have watched it on DVD after and gone, oh, I'm really into Ghostbusters now, I want one. And the campaign's ended. But, I mean, that, again, applies to any collectible after a while. Once collectibles disappear off the shelves, they end up going up in value. So there's no real difference there. So that's why I really like the HasLab thing. One thing I always say to people about the HasLab, because with the last one, I had a friend of mine, he was sort of 50-50 on whether he should get one. And I always say, if you could afford one, and it's very important if you can afford it. I don't think you should go into debt for something if you're not sure on it. Or even if you are sure on it, you shouldn't really go into debt. Unless you know you can definitely pay it back. But I think with these, you can always sell it when it arrives. If you're 50-50 on it, get it because you either regret not getting it, or if you regret getting it, you can sell it and make yourself a few quid later down the line. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on the HasLab model. But anyway, I've waffled on enough about that. Let's have a quick chat about the actual product coming up. What could it be? So, it's teased an Ecto 1, essentially. That's what it looks like it's going to be. I'll be very surprised if it's not an Ecto 1. I mean, they could have just done this whole thing to throw us completely off what it is. You know, maybe they've made it look like an Ecto 1. It's only going to be a Firehouse play set or some Ecto goggles or something. But I think it's going to be an Ecto 1, looking at the image. If you've got any other ideas what you think it could be, let me know in the comments. But for the rest of the video, I'm just going to assume it's an Ecto 1, because that is pretty much what this image is teased. And if we go by that image, I don't think it could be anything else. What version of Ecto 1 will it be? I personally hope it's the classic version. I'm willing to bet most people will agree with me on that. I do wonder if they'd give us options to change it. Now, I don't know how easy that would be. Obviously, there's been 4 versions of Ecto 1. So there's Ecto 1 from the '84 film, there's the Ecto 1A from GB2, there's the Afterlife version and the Firehouse version. Now, let's just ignore the 1A for the moment. So, how easy would it be to change the classic into the Afterlife and Firehouse versions? So the main difference is the gunner seat. Now, I don't know if they could engineer something where you can take out the door and add the gunner seat version in. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how easy that would be. And then, obviously, there's some changes elsewhere. Obviously, with the Afterlife version, the car's dirty. Now, I know with this and the 2 in the box, they've always said they've kept modders in mind for certain things. So they could give us a gunner seat door that could slot on, and then say if you want to do the Afterlife version, it's your job to dirty it up. Could be an option. Obviously, they have to do some other changes, because obviously the ladder changed, and I can't remember now. Mine's going blank. With the Firehouse version, obviously you got the gunner seat as well. There were some changes to the roof rack. You got the drone unit and the stripes. You know, could give us some extra stickers for that. So I wonder if they could be possible options. The Ecto 1A is a lot harder to change, because I mean, basically the whole roof rack would need changing. Or not the whole roof rack, but most of it. obviously all the stickers, the door stickers, you've got stripes to add, and the bumper on the back is different, which I don't know if everyone notices that, because I remember with the Eagle Moss build there were a lot of people saying will they give us the option to change to the Ecto 1A, because Eagle Moss did that with the DeLorean, where you could do the different DeLoreans from the different Back to the Future films. But I think for the Eagle Moss version, I think it would have been more difficult to change the bumper. Maybe Hasbro can do one that pulls out and add the new bumper in, if they pay attention to those sort of details. So that could be an option. One thing I noticed with their latest Star Wars one, they're doing the Cantina, is so I think it was £400, and you get like 90, or maybe not 90, maybe 80% of the Cantina, and then you pay another £100, you get the extra panels to completely fill it up. So I wonder if they could do something like that. I wonder if that'll start becoming a trend. I don't know well that's done, or which version's doing better. You know, where they could say, here's your Ecto 1, or for an extra X amount of money, here's these add-on parts. Or they could be stretch goals. So anyway, stretch goals. Talking stretch goals, what could the stretch goals be for an Ecto 1? So the first thing that comes to mind, and I really hope I'm wrong on this, is the gurney. Now the gurney should be a standard thing that comes with the Ecto 1, it shouldn't be a stretch goal, but with the Proton Pack, the hose to connect to the wand was a stretch goal. Now with that should have been a standard thing as well. There's no way on earth that should have been a stretch goal, but it was. So it wouldn't surprise me if something like that is a stretch goal. What I think we really need as a stretch goal is some ghosts, because the Plasma Series line was severely lacking ghosts. We got Gozer, and then the Builder Pterodog. And then obviously you had to build a Sentinel Pterodog with the Afterlife figures, and you got an extra Pterodog if you bought the Tully's Terrible Night set. But other than that, we've got no ghosts. And I mean, if you actually put all the Plasma Series figures together, it's quite a dull looking set. Like if you compare it to then putting the Mattel figures together, the Diamond Select figures together, obviously with those, now whether you like those figures or not, obviously people have different opinions on the details and all that, but those lines gave us different ghosts. You know, with the Diamond Select, you had Slimer, you had the Library Ghost, you had the Taxi Ghost. With the Mattel set, there was a lot of packing ghosts. You had the Scaleri Brothers, you had the Theatre Ghost. I'm trying to remember what ghost you had now, but you had lots of choices. We've not really had any of that with the Plasma Series range. So I think it's ridiculous that you've got Ghostbusters figure line that has had how many figures out now, and not one of them has been Slimer. I mean, he's like basically the most well-known ghost. Is he well more known than Stay Puft? I guess I think they're even, you know. If you think Ghostbusters, I think if the general public think Ghostbusters, they probably think Slimer or Stay Puft. You know, they're very iconic ghosts. So Slimer should definitely be a stretch goal, 100%. And then I think maybe behind him should be Muncher, because again, how did they do all those Plasma Series Afterlife figures and not do Muncher? He was basically the Slimer of the Afterlife film. And I definitely think that should have been one. Obviously, there's lots of other ghosts they could do. They could do the Library Ghost. They could do the Taxi Ghost. They could do any of the ghosts from the montages. But I think Slimer is definitely 100% must. And then I think Muncher is pretty close behind him for stretch goals. Also, I would like to see some more Plasma Series figures. Now, as a stretch goal, maybe not. Maybe they should be a separate line. I mean, how have we not had Frozen Empire Plasma Series figures? I mean, you'd think they would have done one of Paul Rudd, just in a jumpsuit. I think that would have sold just generally, you know, to even non-Ghostbusters fans. You know, I think people just like Paul Rudd, but could be wrong about that. So that's what I think for stretch goals on this as well. So obviously we've got a while to find out. This is rung in, I say it's rung in, the announcement, it says it's coming fall 2024. So I would assume it's going to run similar time to what the previous HasLabs have done, you know, over the Christmas period. Price-wise, what could it be? I'm going to estimate between £400 and £500. It's a lot of money. But, I mean, this was 360 or 359.99. And I think they actually underpriced this a bit, because I know people don't like admitting it, but they cut corners here on this. I mean, it's a great product, but they definitely cut some corners with like paint apps. I mean, bits like these should have had, you know, been painted. The stickers were originally going to be foil, and they weren't. So this is just complete speculation on my part, but I think they had got you know, fairly far into the process of making this, and maybe realised they're over budget or run out of money, and that's why some of these things are being scaled back a little bit. So I think it's going to be more than what this was, personally. I mean, I was looking at some of the previous HasLabs, and there was a Ghost Rider car, which, I mean, size-wise compared to the Ecto 1, tiny. And I'm assuming they are doing the, obviously, the in scale with the 6-inch figures. I mean, God, how long would that be? I can't think now. But that Ghost Rider car was £350, I think. So a lot of money. But anyway, it's just really speculation on my part. But let me know what you want from the HasLab, what you think it would be. I mean, like I said, I think it's got to be an Ecto 1 unless they're going to switch it round. And, you know, what do you think that would be price-wise? What do you think the stretch goals would be? All comments are welcome. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Until then, keep on busting.
Want to give a big shout out to the Magic Ghostbuster. Hey Darren, very, very impressive.